There's no age limit on this. Nobody cares what you look like, but what they want to hear is your story. They want to hear your story. They want to hear y'all. If you were ever thinking about starting a YouTube channel, the time is now. You've got to stop being afraid. You've got to stop worrying about what you look like. People don't care about that. They care about your information and what you can share that you have. If you are 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 years old, let me just tell you something. My mom, she loves watching a couple of YouTubers on here. One of them is called Nanny and the Moose, and you should go check out that channel. And the other one I think is called Rockstar Mom or something like that. And they're both seniors, and they do makeup, but then they just talk about their daily lives. And she loves them because she's a senior. She's disabled, so she doesn't get to get out much. So her real connection, unfortunately, her only connection right now is me, my husband, and YouTube. We live in a small town. It's winter. We don't get out much at all during the winter. So her being able to sit down and connect to these people who are her own age range is very, very key to her mental health. She loves it. And then what'll happen is we'll sit and we'll talk about what Nanny the Moose is doing or what Rockstar Mom's doing. So, you should, if you like YouTube and you think you have information to share, and even if you don't think you have anything to share, you really should try. Okay, I know a lot of us, like me, we're looking in the mirror and we're going, ain't nobody gonna watch this ugly face. I'm fat, I'm old, whatever. You know what? I'm a Gen Xer. And the famous thing with Gen X's is that we don't give a care. And I'll use the family-friendly word, but we don't give a care. We just do because of the way we grew up. And that's the truth. I'm an old Gen Xer. I'm like 60 from 1966, so I came in right at the beginning. And the other thing is that you may struggle with thinking, well, I don't really have a niche, maybe, or niche, however you want to say it. I am a jack of all trades, or a Jill of all trades, if you want to call it that, because there's so many things that I have had my hands on. I don't have a true career where I've worked in something for ages. I worked in health insurance. I worked in car insurance. I don't want to talk about insurance. That's the last thing I want to do is talk about insurance. But then I've worked in customer service. I've worked data entry. So I led a lot of mediocre jobs that most people don't care about. But what I've done as a personal side thing is that I've completely gutted and remodeled a kitchen. I wish I would have videotaped that, because that would have been a big one. It looks gorgeous. It's in the house that we sold, but I have pictures. I've raised chickens. I started chickens in my backyard. We built a chicken coop, and so all these little things that I could have been videotaping, which I wish now I had, I can still start now. And what I'm trying to encourage you to do is take whatever it is, however small, and put it on YouTube and share. Because let me tell you, we need to have us older folks sharing our knowledge and our wisdom for this younger generation. Now, I've noticed a huge change, a huge shift in YouTube in the last several months. It's shifting over to what seems to be an older crowd. Now, maybe that's just because of what I'm watching, because the YouTube algorithm feeds you, when you watch, they feed you they look at what you've been watching, and then they go and they feed similar videos to you based on what you've been watching already. So, for instance, I'm a full-time caregiver. Well, I do other things, but I do caregiving. I live with my mom and my husband. I live with my mom. We moved in here a year and a half ago. And so I'm doing caregiving. I'm in the middle of, as you can see behind me, cleaning and trying to get rid of stuff. So even that, I could even do some organization videos. If you're good at organization, that'd be something you could share too. But even the little things that we take for granted because we're older. I'm 58. I'll be 60 in a couple years. I'm 59 in February. So not far away from that 60 mark. And I take for granted all these little things that I just know how to do because I learned it years ago. And it doesn't have to be complicated. You can just sit in a chair and share your story. In fact, I really want you to share your stories. I love being able to put on a video of some of you guys' stories and just hearing memories. And I think a lot of this too might become more of a posterity type project where we're out there and we're sharing things that are up here and stories that they're gonna get forgotten and lost. And even looking back at like my grandmother and my great-grandmother, grandfather, great-grandfather, I wish now that I could go back in time and talk to them and preserve those stories because I don't remember them now. I'm too old and I've got my own stories. But just remembering their stories of their history, of what they remember, because those things are getting lost in all the stuff that's going on, all the social media and the short-term memory and short attention span. See, I'm having short-term memory issues. Short attention spans. They're getting lost, and we want to try to preserve them. Now, I will say that I feel like YouTube might be shifting over to like a Facebook, because Facebook, I don't know if you know this, but Facebook's been around for over 20 years. It's hard to believe, huh? And when it started, it was mostly the young people that were using it, and now it's shifted to mostly older people. In fact, most young people don't even go on Facebook. In fact, I actually don't even like Facebook anymore. I just don't. But I go on for local things like that. So the kids switched over to TikTok. Now there's a lot of Gen Xers and older people taking over TikTok. So there's going to be another one come along that the kids will gravitate to, and eventually we'll hear about it. But for now, YouTube is so much information that we can share with our next generations coming. There's a lot of things when we were growing up, and that probably when you were growing up, that you can share. I'll give you an example. My mom and I were talking just 2 days ago about how in school we had home economic classes and shop classes. And what's interesting is back then, as a girl, you really didn't go into shop. You went into home economics, and then as a guy, you went into shop, and they learned how to do woodworking and work on cars and do small engines and whatever they did. Women, we learned to sew, we learned to cook, we learned some very basic skills because, well, I had a mom who taught me a lot of stuff at home, like how to clean house and how to do this and, clean the bathroom properly and how to boil water and make boiled eggs and stuff like that. A lot of young girls did not have that, so they only learned what they learned in home economic class. I actually think that needs to be brought back. I think we need to bring back shop and home ec, but it needs to be where anybody can go in. Guys can go in one and girls can go. It can be crossover, because I would have preferred shop. I would have done way better at shop. That's just me. I like to go to Home Depot, and that's where I have fun as opposed to go to the mall. I'm not a shopper like most girls. I'm like get out there and get dirty kind of girl. Anyway, sorry for this being so long. My point is, there is no age limit on this. Nobody cares what you look like, but what they want to hear is your story. They want to hear your story. They want to hear how you lived through life, how you did what you did for so long. And yeah, I'm one of those that did a job hop. I've done a lot of online. I actually, as a Gen Xer, I went from the channel changer was only 3 stations and you had the rabbit ears to now being in full engulfed in the tech where I've got a video camera, I've got 2 monitors over here, I've got a huge monitor here. I can build websites. Well, WordPress, I can do WordPress. I've done KDP where I've written books, digital books. I've done audiobooks. I mean, there's all kinds of things now that's available for us to do. And sharing that information on YouTube, I think, is so important. I want to know about you. I want to hear your story. Put yourself out there. Stop being afraid. The time is now. The time is now. Now, the other thing to keep in mind is, what do you want to do with your channel? If it's just for fun, just to share, that's great. Oh, and probably don't share it with your family, at least not up right away. Do it kind of on the down low. But are you wanting to monetize your channel where it can make you some little income? Or are you just doing it for fun? Because that kind of will make a difference in where it might go. For me, I want both. I want to do this because I think it's fun, but I also want to monetize, and I want to be able to build something that is helpful to others that I also can make a little money out of, because as I'm getting older, having that little backup income is a really good thing. I mean, I'll be able to draw Social Security here in a few years, but I don't want to rely on that. I want to be able to have my own income. So I know for me personally, I am going to do this as a business, but because I'm in a certain situation with my mom and being a caregiver right now, I can only do so much before I have to take care of other stuff. Does that make sense? Anyway, thank you so much for hanging out with me. Start that channel. Stop being afraid. We'll see you on the next video.